Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Poole. I work at AWS Professional Services in our threat detection and incident response team. I'm a senior security consultant and part of the customer incident response team who assists customers when they're having active security events in their accounts. And today, what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about how you can work with logs in Amazon Web Services. And so if you have a variety of logs, as you likely do, you might have CloudTrail logs, VPC flow logs, DNS query logs, ELB logs, WAF logs. There's a great variety of sources of logging in AWS. You might have all of these streaming to an S3 bucket for storage, which is perfect. And the problem is if you do think you may have a security event that has started in your account, if you haven't already set up a mechanism to look into these logs, it may be a daunting challenge. So if you don't already have, one of these complex SIMs that's constantly ingesting these logs and presenting it for you for analysis, we actually have a great solution for that. And it's a solution that we use frequently. And that solution is Amazon Athena. So first, I just want to show you again on an example of a CloudTrail log. CloudTrail logs look kind of like this. You have a S3 bucket that has a ton of JSON files. They're all zipped up, compressed for storage, and they're in different directories. There's a whole, per region, per day, per month. And so you can understand how this would be pretty hard to analyze by hand. You don't want to have to download each file, open it up, and try to look through a JSON file manually. So how do we solve this problem? Well, that's where Amazon Athena comes in. So Amazon Athena is a serverless analytics tool that allows us to essentially project a database structure onto these text files in our S3 bucket. And once we've done that projection, we can actually query the data using a standard database query language called SQL. So how that works is you can select, for example, particular fields from those CloudTrail logs or those VPC flow logs, etc. So maybe you want to know, have I seen this particular source IP address in my CloudTrail logs? Has that IP address called any queries for my account? And that's an example of something you might want to query, right? So you can write a query using Athena, and Athena will just instantly go out and scan across all of these files in the bucket that are relevant to that and return results. And so here's an example query that I've already wrote that in this case is going to summarize activity. It's going to show me how many events have occurred in my CloudTrail logs over a certain date range in a few regions. And so you can see, I'll just go ahead and run it again. It took about 2 seconds, which is pretty nice given that this is going across a whole week's of data. And it's going to tell me the selected information that I wanted to know. There's this many events occurred in your CloudTrail in which region. And so this is pretty cool. The only problem then that you might have is, well, how do I set this up? And that can be a little bit confusing if this is your first time using Athena. You kind of have to tell Athena how your files are structured. And I can show you for CloudTrail, for example, you have to specify a lot of information about, these are kind of the fields that exist in these files. And then you tell it where the files live, et cetera. It can be a little bit daunting. And so that's where my team has actually published an open source tool to assist with this problem. That tool is called Athena Bootstrap. It's available via GitHub. And what it does is it will help you. It's a CloudFormation stack to help you set up a quick start analytics environment for your logs. So this tool, this CloudFormation template can set up VPC flow logs, CloudTrail, and DNS queries currently, but it will be extended to add additional formats in the future. And not only does it help you set up those tables, those projections of kind of how your data looks, but it also includes some useful pre-written queries. Because when I was first learning Amazon Athena, one of my challenges was, how do I actually use this? What does a good query look like? How do I do something more complex? And so if you were in Athena after you had run the Security Analytics Bootstrap, you could click on this Saved Queries tab, and you're going to see a variety of saved queries that have been created by the Bootstrap CloudFormation stack. And so, for example, if you wanted to know a summary of various data points about which IPs, which ports have been most active in your VPC flow logs, there's a query for that. There would be a query for, say, there'd be a query for looking for IAM access key creations, which is something an attacker might do in a security event, is to create an additional access key to try to create a backdoor into your environment. So having these examples really helps accelerate your usage of Amazon Athena, and has been really handy for me when I was learning that as well. So that's kind of the basics of Amazon Athena. It's a serverless analytics environment or tool. It can be pointed at collections of various files, whether they're text, JSON, CSV, tab delimited. It can handle a lot of different types of file formats, and it gives you a database view into those data files. There's no ongoing cost, so it's very easy to spin up and use as needed. So you're not paying to ingest constantly these sources of data. It's paid for as you use it. So if you need to query it a lot, then you pay for those queries. But if you just need to query it a few times, then it's a pretty reasonable way to perform this sort of analytics, rather than having to pay for ingestion of, say, gigabytes or terabytes of data per day or per month. So if you're interested in learning more, I would recommend that you start out with the Security Analytics Bootstrap. It's available on GitHub, and we should have a link posted after that you can follow to that. That will help you get that kind of quick start environment set up. It'll set up the tables for you. It'll set up these sample queries and give you a place to run and start. If you're interested in learning a little bit more advanced usage, then I highly recommend you check out our Twitch stream, Safe Room. It's on the AWS Twitch stream channel. And that's where our team is actually going in and talking in depth about a variety of TDIR subjects, including usage of tools such as Athena to help you in the investigation of a security event. I hope that helps. Amazon Athena is really cool, and I hope you have a chance to check it out.